Hi everyone, thank you for joining me on another wonderful episode of Bookish Reflections, and it's going to be a very interesting one because we're talking about a very important issue, the issue of terrorism. With what is going on around, what's happening in Afghanistan, the whole world is wide awake to the devastating effects terrorism can bring to a nation, and that is why I have decided to discuss this at this time. I picked up this to discuss, not knowing that Afghanistan will be what it is today, and everyone there is crying about the fate of women and children. So in Nigeria, we are battling and grappling with the same matter, and so that is why I picked this book to be the focal point for which we'll be discussing this issue. The book discusses a lot. There is so much in it that we can't cover everything in this video, but I want to urge you to get your copy, read it, and engage in conversations around this. That is what we can do as a nation. And so I have a very wonderful guest, Kunle Smith. He's a lawyer and a friend, and I have known him for a while, and we'll be discussing this book together. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do, and if you have not liked yet, like, subscribe, comment, share with friends and family. So enjoy my conversation with Kunle Smith.
Oh,
Kunle,
good.
thank you so much for coming and joining me. I mean, I'm excited to be talking with you because when I thought about this book, and I was wondering who can discuss this with me and be able to give a lot of clarity to issues. Your face kept popping up in my mind because we've had conversations around happenings in Nigeria in time past, and I felt like you will be the best person to discuss this because honestly, I think I chose this topic because I was angry. I was tired. It was
Mm.
around the aftermath of the kidnapping of the children in Bethel, Bethel School.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I
So
remember
I
that.
was really pissed off at that, and I knew I wanted to talk about it. And so that is why we are talking about it. So first of all, let me first ask
Mm.
you, when you read this book, Buried Beneath the Baobab Tree, what was your first impression? How did you feel about the book? What stood out to you? Um, just basically your overall impression.
Yeah. When I read the book, I honestly, because I've physically experienced not like being there, but it was all over when that particular incident happened, the Chibok girls and other kidnappings. So when I read the book, I read with a it was almost it was beautifully written, but at the same time is a dark book because
Yeah.
you can actually see people's lives being manipulated in a way that you can just say, for can't you just can't you guys just be human for once? These are
Yeah.
children, and these especially women. Yeah, we can also see from the guys angle, but the book was written from a female perspective, and it's really touching. It makes you get angry. You almost feel like you should just have the power to change things. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, we do not have much of that. I think the only power we have is to talk about it and to keep reminding ourselves that, oh, this is what is going on with people's lives, and then how can we change it? How can we? Let's not bury the narrative. We need to put that narrative at the fore. It's something that's really touching.
Yeah.
After reading the book, the story itself, and then I went to where they were talking about the interviews, where they went to the IDP camps.
Yes.
That's another one because yeah, and the book itself, it was very vivid. They tried to make a lot, but then you are now reading people that were, as in the writers actually going to camps and having conversations about with people that experienced it. So you're almost putting yourself and saying, what if this was me? What if I was a victim too? What if I have somebody very close to me? What if it's my daughter? What if it's my son? What if it's my child? Or what if is my brother? What if it's my sister? What if it's my father? What if it's my mother? because it affects everybody. The story is especially, I don't know. It got to a point I was almost crying, but at the same time, I just felt, I felt helpless, but at the same time, I felt if people could do this wherever they were, I should be able to do something too. That's the way I felt. Like, I couldn't just leave it to chance and say, okay, it has happened. It has happened. I think everybody that reads this, I think everybody needs to read the story anyway. Every Nigerian and every human being needs to read the story. But I think after reading it, even till now, I was doing a review just before when you told me that, oh, it's today. I said, okay, let me just go back to my notes and read it again. And I'm like, do I have to talk about this now? Do I have to talk about this story now? Because it's a sad story. It's a really sad story, especially
Yeah.
given the fact that I was just with some children today, and then you're just
Yeah.
sometimes looking at, oh, imagine some of them that, because some of them, one or two of them were actually from Maiduguri, and they had to move from Maiduguri to Lagos. Some of the children that came for our summer learning program today, they had to move because of the violence in Maiduguri. They had to move to Lagos. So while I was talking with some of them, I was just, it kept going back in my head that, oh, what if this has happened? What if these are actually actual victims? Yeah, they may not be kidnapped, but they have to leave their, they have to pull from their states simply because of violence, of irresponsibility of a government.
Irresponsibility of the government. We are going to talk about that one very, very well because that I think is the crux of the whole matter. Government has been very irresponsible. And in one of the chapters, Yata was talking. She said that what is Boko Haram? She was trying to define haram, and she said haram is stealing children from their papa and mama. And everything according
Yeah,
to Boko
yeah,
Haram people, education is haram. Basically, everything Western is
yeah,
haram. But this narrator, Yata, decided to like do a redefinition of what haram really is. I mean, how would
yeah,
from
yeah,
I think I agree with her definition. Stealing children from their papa and mama. I mean, when I read
yeah,
that part, I was like, I think this is really, really what haram is. This is the sin. Hitting a pregnant woman, tiptoeing into a woman's sleeping area at
yeah.
midnight and commanding her to follow you out. Do you agree with that definition of haram?
I absolutely I agree with it. I agree with it. Um, I remember Aisha in the book. Aisha is Yata's
That's
friend.
right. Yes.
Um, let's also not forget that I think the writers did something very beautiful, and that they never mentioned a name to the chief protagonist, which is Yata. Yata is a nickname. Then she later became Salamatu. But she had a friend who was a Muslim. She was a Christian, and then she had a friend who was a Muslim. And while they were talking about, while it was in the book about what is haram, and I could just think of Aisha because yes, maybe the other people were saying, oh, okay, maybe let's even look it from the point of religion, or these people are Christians, these people are Muslims. But they actually killed Aisha's husband, who was a Muslim, who was a good Muslim. So it's not really about the religion. It's not about the religion. It's about power. It's about control. It's about terrorism. Because terrorism is about putting terror into people and then taking power from them. Because if people
Exactly.
feel can't do anything about it, it's not about religion. It's not about the tenets of the Quran. It's not about it. It's about putting terror, life terror into people. Oh, I can kill you at any time. I can do whatever I want to do with you at any time. I can sneak up on a girl and take her with me because I have the power to do so. I can change their lives. Just it's that terror that you live in those girls. It's unfortunately it's something that nobody wants to praise to experience or even praise that any other person experiences. So I absolutely agree with that. The Aram is taking innocent children from their parents, killing their parents, taking them and molesting them, and also dragging them off into a forest. Not consider how they're going to feed you. You just give them whatever you
Yeah.
could,
She described the
and then they were
feeding.
feeding themselves off. Well. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you literally took them off their parents, where they were at least they were doing well. Maybe not like very rich, but at least they could eat something. But then when she described the hunger, the hunger
Mm.
on its in itself is terror, because you are you
Yeah.
when you think of the hunger, you are like, someone that's hungry will not think of escaping, because you're like, how many hours can I run with my empty stomach?
Mm.
How many hours can I run with my empty stomach? That's terror. And for me, that is haram, because you just saw someone that's well to do, and then you take them from that place and come and suffer them, simply
Mm.
because you're trying to indoctrinate them into. No, no, it's not about the religion. Yes, the religion is the camouflage, but it's about power. It's about taking resources. It's about harnessing states. This, we are seeing a practical example in Afghanistan as we speak. There's a lot of
Yeah.
chaos there.
Yeah.
It's not about religion. It's not
Yeah.
about, oh, you're doing jihad. Yes, jihad is the name they call it because of what is in the Quran. But it's about taking power. It's about power. It's about resources. That's what it is all about. And then the victims are now the people that you are using them. You are using the terror you can unleash on them to to take that power. Because once you're able to make someone fear you, once you're able to make somebody look and say, oh, this man can shoot me, he can just kill me for nothing, the person begins to fear you and begins to obey you, whether they want to or not. It's terror. It's not. And unfortunately, there's a friend, that's Aisha's friend, Sarah. I think she later became Zainab. The terror was so much that she began to believe every other thing. She was looking so much for love that even the terrorist seemed like someone that, simply because he was just able to show her a terrible way of loving her, and she was like, okay, I think I need this tiny bit of love. And she began to
Mm.
fall in love with him. Like someone
Yeah.
that literally was your enemy, killed your parents, killed people around you. You could see it.
Mm.
But because of the terror, the sheer terror of, oh, this man can do whatever he wants with me. But then you just need to say, oh, in this terrible condition, how do I get something? And then he shows you, oh, okay, I love you. But you know that at the end
Mm.
of the day, the guy can just turn up and say, oh, I don't like you again, I could shoot you.
Mm.
And then that's it. Nobody's going to ask him questions. So
Yeah.
that's why the friend was able to turn around. So the original, when they say haram, this religion is haram, reading is haram, or doing this is that, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a flat lie. It's the terror in itself is haram. The hunger
Mm.
is haram. The rape is haram. The molestation of those girls is haram, and the indoctrination. You're telling them to go and bomb somewhere. You're telling young girls, teenage girls, to go and bomb somewhere simply because you have the power to do so, and then you want to spread fear in other people.
Mm.
Because if any person that's been a victim of once of children bombing, then if you see a child coming close to you, you are already afraid. That
Yeah.
stigma. They're like, oh,
Mm.
are you sure this child is not? Are you? Or am I? Maybe I should just avoid this person. Of which
Mm.
it's not so, because usually when people see children, that's are the first people you meet.
Yeah.
People are always eager to welcome children. But now
Mm.
it's a reign of terror. So that's the
Mm.
original haram. Because apart from even the children themselves, to the entire populace, everybody is scared. If you see
Mm.
someone that's wearing hijab around you, you can't see the face, you're like, the first thing you're thinking is, am I
Is she a
safe?
suicide bomber?
Is she a suicide bomber? Does she have a gun with her? And that is haram, because you have made an entire populace scared of you,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
In fact, I was going to talk about the fact that Boko Haram has, in a way, robbed children of their innocence, and you have just
Yeah, they're
encapsulated that
innocent. Yes.
in the way normally you see a child, you want to hold the child, but now it's like you
Hmm.
see a child and you are skeptical whether this child might be a ploy or a toy for terrorist groups and all that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a sad thing,
Even
but
the
let's
child
talk
is afraid
about.
of the adults now.
Yes, the child is also afraid of the adult. I mean, you can imagine what those girls went through. Even when
Yeah,
Yata was rescued, you could see this post-traumatic episode afterwards. They can't escape. That trauma stays with them. And I was watching channels
Yeah,
report, was it
she's
on
still
Sunday?
expecting her husband to come to the camp.
To,
Like he said, I'll look for you
yeah,
and
she
I'll
was
kill you.
still
So
very
any man
afraid.
that comes close to her, this may be the enemy. This may be the guy. It may be just be the one.
Yeah,
And
and you know,
unfortunately, it's
yeah,
difficult for a child to have that.
yes, and you know what channels was reporting that even those that have been rescued are being stigmatized
Yeah,
in their community.
yeah,
And how
yeah.
how can we help people like that? After they have been rescued, then the stigmatization starts. It's like everybody looks at them as the Boko Haram people again in our
Mm.
midst.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but I think that's the strategy for the Boko Haram guys, the terrorists. If if let's call them by who they are,
Yeah,
the fact of Boko Haram, they're terrorists.
yeah.
That's the strategy. But I think that what we can begin to do is to talk about it in everyday life. It's difficult, but the more we talk about it, the more we get more people to see it from their point of view. It's easier for us to say, oh, this person, oh, this person was a terrorist, or she was staying with terrorists, they were staying in one. But it's not. This is a child. This is a child.
Mm,
You could turn the life of a child around just with a gun, because
mm,
a child is afraid. Even an adult
mm.
seeing a gun is afraid. How much more a
Yeah,
child that's living in the forest? So I think the first thing we need to do is to talk about it one on one with people, as many people as we can. Oh, these children are victims. Yes, they may have taken bombs, they may have carried guns, but they are victims. It reminds me of the movie book Beast of No Nations, of No
mm,
Nation.
yeah,
It's the children soldiers where they are not soldiers, they are children. Yes, they may have
mm,
done terrible things. People led them, adults led them. Some people stole them from their parents, killed their parents, and they didn't have a choice in this. So
yeah.
the first thing is to talk about it, to spread the word, for people to, in our churches, in our offices, in on the internet, like what we're doing here, even in our book clubs, yeah, in schools. How do we get other children to view them? Because
Mm,
now it can even be okay, maybe getting an, but imagine in 20 years a child is, oh, this man is and they're talking about the history of another child and say, oh, that this one was Boko Haram member. So
mm,
but if you can get a child to see what those people went through, like if they can see
mm,
themselves in that situation, to that, yes, I may not have been in this particular situation, but I can see myself, what if it had happened to me? I remember in 2014, 2015, I did my law school in Kano. And at that time, I think it was later towards 2015, that was the time of the bombing. I think even when I was in Kano, there was a bombing in Kano.
mm,
Um, there was we didn't have a fence in law school. We didn't have a fence. Yes, there were some fences, but we were surrounded by a lake, and then there was any person can come into law school. Like if you want to come inside to do evil, you could just come in. So when that was the first time I went to the north, and I was with a friend that also had never been to the north. So when we were staying in the same room for like 2 weeks, if you hear a needle drop, we are awake. We're sleeping
mm,
with one eyes closed. Like, and these guys
yeah,
are coming. These guys are coming. These guys are. I think it was after a while that things became a bit better. We're able to make more friends, and then we're able to like sleep well. But even at
mm,
that, if you hear any news, somebody calls you or your parents are just hear that, oh, something happened in Kaduna, for example. Kaduna is close to where we were. We're in Bagauda in Kano. Everybody's calling you. I heard there's something in this place. So after a while, when I left Kano and I was in Lagos, I was able to understand it more. Well, when I was there, we were doing life. At first you're afraid, but after a while you're like, um, we are guys. You just live it like that. It's people that are
mm,
outside that are more scared because hope they're not in your place. You know, you're where your parents fall and all of that. But after a while, when I left, the reality hit me and said, what if these guys had come to to background? What if they had come to law school? You had almost 300 or 400 students in Kano. What if they had come and they have kidnapped some people? Yeah, I pray it doesn't happen. But now, yes, I think they have beefed up the security around law school. But at the same time, it's you begin to that thing, your mentality. Even sometimes when things happen, sometimes I'm like, I was at the eye of the storm in Kano, so I can tell you. But it's difficult when you're talking to children, especially people that I can speak now. I can speak with some people because I've been in some of those places. I've been to other places in the north, and I can say for free that it's a very difficult experience for you to have been in. But one thing we can do is to talk about it. Is to also put pressure on the government, because the government has a lot to do. They have a lot to do. These people need psychologists. Even the general population needs to be enlightened. The National Orientation Agency needs to make it something they do every time about children that were victims of Boko Haram. Yes, maybe not just victims of, they may have seemed like participants, but they are victims. They don't know any better. They were actually forced to do some of these things. So they need to have a psychological evaluation of those children, and at the same time also encourage the population, the civilian population, on how to relate to these people. They should relate to them as civilians, as victims, not as terrorists. Because these people are children. Children, unfortunately.
I wanted to also talk about the fact that what these Boko Haram terrorists did in the book was to change the identity of these children. Why do terror? What do you think is the reason for that? Changing their names, why do they do that? Because it's like they want you to forget where you're coming from, and like, this is a whole new world, this is a whole new scenario. You're beginning life afresh under Boko Haram. So why do they feel the need to go about this whole identity change?
Yeah. First and foremost, okay. I would give something. I'll tell you something. When I finished my law school, I was called to bar in 2015, October 2015. When you were inviting me for the program, you asked me, should I put would you put something like maybe lawyer or esquire? Lawyers do, because once you get something else, an additional name or something, and you get an additional name or something, it changes you. Even you, the way you walk in society is different. If I'm talking with a policeman, even though I don't, when I'm with normal people on the street, I don't just tell them, oh, I'm barrister. No, I don't do that. Yeah, a lot of other people do it, and I don't have fault with that. But I personally don't do it. But when I'm talking with a policeman or last man, or my name is barrister. My name is barrister, because it changes the way you think. It changes the way they think. It changes the way they see you, and changes the way even you yourself you behave. That is just a prefix, and it changes the way you think. When you have an additional name to your name, it changes the way you think. Or maybe you become pastor, or you become like Yoruba people say afa, you become imam. That is just even something that you get. So and that changes the whole perception. Like if even if I don't know somebody, I'm at a club and I see one person that's sitting and somebody comes and say, that is pastor. The way I relate to that person at the club is very different. But if I just know, oh, this man is, maybe his name is Tunde, his name is John, his name is Chibuzo, I just relate to him, oh, Chibuzo. But now you're pastor, I'm like, pastor, it changes the way you think about the person. It also changes the way the person sees themselves. So I think that's the psychology the Boko Haram members are also doing, because the whole idea is to change your entire belief about yourself, make you believe that every other thing you know about yourself is false. That now they are the people that God has given that right, and they're doing it with terror. So you don't have a choice, because somebody is with a gun or a bomb, and the person is saying your name now is Zainab or your name is Salamatu instead of Yata. You don't have a choice. So you are thinking of, after a while, if you're not careful, you begin to believe it. You begin to believe it, and there's also the power of repetition, whether
Yeah.
negatively or positively. The more you repeat
Mm.
things to yourself, the more people repeat it to you, you begin to absorb it. At first, it's like, well, I won't take it. I don't want it. It's not for me. It's not for.
Mm.
But after a while, you just begin to accept. If someone comes in and says, Kunle, I'm a very dark person, like obviously. But somebody comes and says, oh, Kunle, you're very fair. Oh. I'll say, this guy is lying now. Tomorrow, another person comes and says, Kunle, you're a very fair guy. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? Are they blind? If people continuously do that for like a year, 2 years, I begin to think of myself like, I think I'm fair. When they now ask me, write a composition about yourself, like I give my children every day, they say, oh, I say, I'm fair in complexion. I'm fair in complexion, which is because of repetition. And unfortunately, that takes away the realities of the way I see myself. I'm seeing myself as, I'm a dark person. But someone else is coming and saying, Kunle, you're a fair person. Once the more they repeat it, I begin to see myself the other way. And that's what the Boko Haram terrorists are looking. And they did that beautifully in the book, to be able to show how they manipulate these children to the extent that they begin to see themselves like, oh, we don't have any other identity. Because you don't see yourself being rescued. You see yourself living that way for the rest of your life. And then you begin to accept it. Oh, okay, my name is Zainab. No, my name is not Zainab. My name is not Sarah. My name is Zainab. No, my name is Sarah. After a while, you get confused. After a while, you just accept what I've given. Because apart from even the names, you also have them teaching them Quran.
Yeah.
Every day. The other person that did not accept it was killed brutally in their presence. So they just look at it that, oh, the only option we have is to accept this, whether we accept it in our mind or not. But after a while, you begin to do things that you're living with them. It becomes a culture to you to begin to, oh, let me read the Quran. Even if you notice, and which they did beautifully well in the book, they began to change the way Yatta prayed. Yatta was a Christian. She used to go to church.
Yes.
But after a while, even when she was on her own, not even with the terrorists now, when she was on her own, she began to pray to Allah in the way Muslims pray. And this is someone that's a Christian. But even when she wasn't with those people, this is not even pretending again. This is because subtly and consistently she has been praying in Islamic way, which they have made her do by force. But because she did it consistently, she began to think like a Muslim. She began to think, and while I was reading the nuances of the expressions in the book, and I'm like, oh, this is beautiful, because it's so subtle that if you don't look at it critically, you won't see it.
Yeah.
She began to pray on her own. Yes, if you don't pay attention, she began to see herself as a Muslim. She began to pray as a Muslim, not even when she was in the mosque or she was with somebody else. And it's so unfortunate by what these guys do, changing the identity, changing your culture. Everything you are saying is this. And unfortunately, you are with these people 247. So it's not like you can say, oh, okay, let me take a break from this Boko Haram terrorist. Let me go to the church and then let me go and pray. Maybe I can, from there, the pastor will say something and then you say, okay, this is my identity. But you have these people 247, they're calling you by that name. They're even telling you, if I hear you call yourself by your original name, we are going to whip you and we may kill you. So you're like, you have to change it. It's a tragic and violent way of changing people.
Yeah. And anyone who did not follow that was killed. Like, so it was, like you said, terror. They were so
you don't have a choice. Yeah.
As a person, imagine your choice being taken away from you. That's a basic freedom. I know you're a lawyer, so I mean, that's somebody taking away your ability to make a choice. It's terror on its own, and I found that really, really saddening.
Freedom of religion, freedom of movement, freedom of association. Everything has been taken away from you. You don't even have fair hearing. You can't go and say, "Oh, this guy that is molesting us, we take him to court, we go to and report him to some." There's nobody you can report to. So at the end of the day, because the only other person you could report that person to was the madman who was the leader. So you're like, it's better for me to be with this other smaller madman than with the bigger madman. So let me just take whatever he's giving me, because you don't even know how that one will react. He could kill you
Yeah.
because he's a madman.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a choice. They had so many of their rights taken away from them. Right? Freedom of association, freedom of religion, freedom of even movement. The time you sleep, because the
Was
husband,
regulated.
that is Yata's husband,
Mm-hmm.
and then he used to do something to her, which was very, very terrible. He would put on a laptop and at that time play a video of a murder,
Yes.
of a terror. And then she would see that video. He would deliberately play it so she can see it. And then it rings in her head like, if I do anything, this guy can kill me. So you are just, okay, let me just follow what he wants. Let me give him what he wants because he can kill me. He has done this, and I better follow this. Unfortunately, it's a very difficult place. It's a very terrible place for a child to be. It's a very terrible place for a child to be.
Yeah, you're right. I'm so glad that we could have this talk. And I'm going to put you on the spot because the next time I have to talk about something like this, you're the one I'm going to call. Because
No
I
problem.
believe that there is so much more to say, but there is a time we have to spend here. There is still so much more to say. And the world this is not just a Nigerian issue. It's a global issue. Terrorism is a global issue. And the
it's happening
president
right
just
now as we
recently
speak
said, I mean, the
in
president of
Nigeria, in
Nigeria.
Afghanistan.
Yes. Afghanistan, yes. And the president of Nigeria said Africa is the next global frontier for terrorism. Should we be afraid?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
But
absolutely,
I mean, it's a call to
absolutely.
action.
I think that it's a call to action because yes, he's saying this, but the first question I have to ask myself is, what is the government doing about this? Terrorism has gone on for too long.
Yeah.
This is a government who is on their second term. So it's not like and then we have them another government which they couldn't handle this terrorist, and unfortunately it has become even kidnapping children, going to schools and kidnapping children has become a business.
Yes.
And we have accepted it as a business. Nobody is saying, oh, what can we do immediately to stop this? Because if somebody kidnaps a student or students and you get money for it, I think with all over Zamfara State, Kaduna State, almost every state in the corner. And then you have to ask yourself, we have to ask yourself, what exactly is the government doing about it? That's the first question we have to ask ourselves. And then how can we hold them responsible? Because the opinions are divided. I think especially along ethnic and religious lines. So people are saying, "Oh, this government is," and don't say something bad about this government because this is from my tribe, or don't say something bad about this government because we practice the same religion, and I see him as a foremost. And unfortunately, and I think it actually happened not just with this present government, the government before it too. You have people saying, "Oh, this person is a Christian, this person is a Muslim, so I will support this person, but don't criticize him. If it happens to another person, yes, we can talk about it, but if it's this person, we don't have to talk about it." And unfortunately, it is a cancer that's spreading. It's a cancer that's spreading because you even have some of these things happening down south. Maybe not at the scale of what is happening in the north. Kaduna is terrible for now. Kaduna is terrible. I think one of the first things we should do, if I were a parent having a child in one of those states, I would lock up my child in the house because I can't afford to take it to school and then the governor of the child actually withdrew some of his kids from schools there. The governor can withdraw his own child from school there, and how much more private citizens? But I think that those are conversations that we need to have. We need to start spreading it. Oh, what are we doing about this? What we need to call all our representatives. I think everybody needs to pick their phones and say, "Oh, my representative in the House of Rep and Senate and also House of Assembly. What are we doing about this? Yes, you may not, someone like me, I'm from Lagos, but how does it affect the federal level? Because if it continues happening down there, it will come down south, and it's going to be a cancer that will spread to everybody. So we need to. It's something that we all need to put our hands together, put all hands on deck, and say yes, we need to stop this thing now, because this the Chibok happened how many years ago, but unfortunately we are still having a repeat of it,
Yeah.
a repeat all the time of it. And it's unfortunate, but it's something that
Very.
civil societies, lots of people are talking about. But we have some paid or some ethnic people that are blinded by ethnicity and tribe, and also religion, that they are not looking to say, how do we solve this problem? It's not until it happens to us. So if it happens to
Mm.
any other human being, it has happened to every one of us. And how can we stop this happening to everybody? When the terrorists went into kidnap those girls, they didn't even look at it. Oh, this is a Christian, this is a Muslim, or this is a free thinker, or an atheist, or maybe a traditionalist. They killed everybody. Malam Isa, that was
Yeah.
Aisha's husband, he was a good Muslim, very good Muslim. They didn't
Yeah.
they didn't ask him, are you a Muslim? They killed everybody. So until we're
Yeah.
able to put one voice together and say this needs to stop, unfortunately, the people in government, they're not affected directly. So they're saying, okay, I think the people are the ones paying the ransom. So let them go and sort the ransom. But until people are able to put pressure on them and say, Mr. Governor, Mr. House of Rep member, Senator, and Mr. President, what can we do to stop this? How can we stop this now? This must stop now. Until that happens, I'm not sure we're going anywhere far. Unfortunately, we'll keep having a repeat
Mm.
of Chibok, which is exactly what is going on. We're having people kidnapping students, going to
Mm.
mosques, going to churches, going to schools, and kidnapping students. Unfortunately, it's very unfortunate. But until
It's
we're
a
able to
very,
put our
very
voices
unfortunate
together
thing.
and say, this has to stop. Mr. President, when will this stop? If everybody comes out and says, yes, it has to stop, it will stop. Because
Thank you
it's
so
only then that
much.
the government begins to take action. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
you've
so,
said
so much
so
for having
much.
me.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
This is going to continue. I'm going to talk to you after now when we are off this. This is going to continue. I don't feel we have touched half of it yet. I'm still
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to source for books. I think writers are beginning to write about issues like this to make people more aware of what
Yeah.
is going on. And so definitely we're going to be talking about this again. Thank you so much, Kunde, for taking
Mm,
out time. I know you've had a busy day, so it's an
mm,
honor for me. I'm so grateful. I hope that like I said, I'm really, really hoping that this continues. We are going to definitely talk about it again. Thank you
definitely.
so very
Definitely.
much. All right, till I see you another
You're
time then.
welcome.
All right,
Yeah.
bye.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So hope you had a wonderful time listening to us, and I hope you have subscribed, and I hope you already liked the videos. I will be back here with another interesting episode of Bookish Reflections next month. Stay connected to me on all my social media pages for any information that might come up. Something is cooking for September, and I can't wait to share it with you. So see you then. Bye.